Sports briefing here on Monday, the 1st of June. Yes, we come to you at 7 a.m. every single morning on the New Zealand Sports Radio. And today in the news, we've had the Queen's Birthday Honours List. The NRL completes its round. We have more results for you from the Belarusian League. And it looks like some confrontation about to happen in English rugby. Let's look at those gongs straight away. And congratulations to two Blackstick legends, Kyla Whitelock and Emily Gadam. Whitelock played 255 games for the Blacksticks between 2003 and 2016 and has come back out of retirement at the end of last year in the hopes of making it to the Tokyo Olympics that have obviously just been postponed from this year until next year. Gadam, on the other hand, is the most capped player ever with 274 games when she retired in 2016. She is currently the chief executive of the Hockey Federation and has also coached a couple of teams as well. Both said they were surprised that they would be achieved, they've been honoured in the list, but good rewards for the two of them. Gadam is also still enjoys playing and has played in the National Hockey League last year. Also in the Queen's Honour List, honour for Hamilton Thoroughbred enthusiast David Ellis as well. Has been in the business now for 48 years. So yes, he's been in it for a very long time. So congratulations to him as well. He's also coached in New Zealand, Singapore as well, and significantly in the breeding industry, which, as you remember, is a big thing because we mentioned a few weeks ago about how they stopped exports from New Zealand across to Australia for a while, and a lot of horses do travel there. Moving on to football news, and over in the Belarusian League, Energex and Verbesk fought out a 3-all draw overnight, and Bate beat Isloch at home 1-0. We have a game that is still live, but it looks like the result has been decided. Ruha Brest are losing to Dynamo Brest 1-4 at the moment. As that last goal was in the 86th minute, it looks like it's either about to finish or it has just finished there. Just one game tonight, which is the Minsk versus Slutsk, which is my team. And as I say, it's good to see Minsk back, who have had to miss a couple of rounds of games due to coronavirus. I'm going to hand you over to Stephen, who will take us through our birthdays today.
Thank you, Paul, and good morning to everybody on this Queen's Birthday Monday. In birthdays today, one of the great All Black fullbacks, a University of Cambridge All Black, and finally a former New Zealand heavyweight champion. And that's where we start our birthdays this morning. Daniel Ty, born this day, the 1st of June 1977, is a New Zealand professional boxer. He is a two-time heavyweight title and former ranked 12th in the WBO Asia Pacific rankings. Ty currently holds the NZNBF heavyweight title belt. Ty, who turns 43 today, has challenged for the WBO Asia Pacific title twice in his career, both times against Chauncey Welliver. Moving on, Mark Richard Ranby is probably more precise, born at this day, the 1st of June 1977, is a former New Zealand rugby union player. A midfield back, Ranby represented Manawatu, the Central Vikings, and Waikato at provincial level, and the Hurricanes and the Chiefs in Super Rugby. Ranby, who turns 43 today, played one international for New Zealand national side, the All Blacks against Samoa in 2001. He played for the Japanese side Coca-Cola West Red Sparks for 2 seasons from 2006. He spent a year studying at the University of Cambridge in 2008. 09, completing a diploma in theology and religious studies, and played for Cambridge against Oxford in the 2008 varsity match. In 2012, he was appointed professional development manager for the Crusaders and Canterbury Rugby. And finally, Ben Robert Smith, born this day, the 1st of June 1986, is a New Zealand rugby union player, currently representing Pau in the French top 14. He formerly played for the Highlanders in Super Rugby competition and for Otago in the ITM Cup. Smith made his international debut for New Zealand in 2009, playing 84 tests. From then until the 2019 World Cup, he was a key member of the 2015 Rugby World Cup winning team. Smith was vice-captain of the All Blacks from 2016 and 2017 and captained the team once against Samoa in 2017. He scored 39 tries for New Zealand throughout his international career, placing him amongst the all-time leading try scorers. Smith, who celebrates his 34th birthday today, normally plays as an outside back, but has also previously played as a centre. It's got here halfback. I don't think that's correct at all. I think more like centre wing, second five is more like it. Great footballer, Paul. Where does he sit in the scheme of things? Not too. Oh, Paul, you might have to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Paul.
Unmute myself. That's a good idea. I'll be honest. I was doing things in the background running the show, so I'm sorry I didn't listen to your piece there. So I'll need to listen back to whose birthdays it has been today later, because you can listen back, folks, on the podcast on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, or all your favorite podcatchers. Just search for New Zealand Sports Radio. And moving on to rugby news, and over there, English rugby players are being asked to take the 25% reduction that they've had temporarily and make it a permanent pay cut. Understandably, the players are not happy with this and have rejected this currently. This happens whilst the clubs aren't all in agreement about this either. Bristol's owner has come out and said that he doesn't think it's right to reduce the salary cap, but it's understood that teams like Worcester, Newcastle, Leicester, Sale, Gloucester and London Irish are all pushing for major reductions in the salary cap that is currently 7 million. So that's 6 out of the 13 teams they're asking for a cut. Unsurprisingly, Bristol are not in that list, nor are Saracens, who we know are getting relegated this season for breaching the salary cap, so clearly they already want to pay more. Exeter Chiefs have also been another vocal team against increasing or having a higher salary cap. So a number of teams there that would like it increased, or have previously, said they would like it increased, but nearly half the teams want it to be decreased. That brings you up to date with our rugby news. I'm going to hand you back to Stephen, who will take us through our league update. And he is now muted himself.
Thank you, Paul. Just checking out our final game of our final 2 games in round 7 of round 3. The Penrith Panthers and the Newcastle Knights could not be split after sharing the points after 90 minutes of grueling football at Campbelltown Stadium, and that was 14 apiece. And the game also went into extra time, which made it even more interesting. Penrith Panthers jumped out to a solid lead at the 25-minute mark with 2 converted tries and a penalty. The Knights struck back from close range right on the stroke of halftime, which closed the score to 14 points to 6. The All Knights already hit by the suspension. 2-star playmaker Kalen Ponga suffered early in the game with the loss of both Mitchell Pearce and Connor Watson, which left Mann as their Knights' only playmaker for the contest. You would have forgiven the Knights if they had folded in the second half, but they scored 2 tries in that second half to Bradman Best in the space of 9 minutes, which brought them level with plenty of time to go, around about 12 minutes to go. Both tries, unfortunately, were unconverted, hence the 14-all draw. Unfortunately for both teams, with extra time and the and a multitude of drop kick attempts. The two teams could not be separated. They probably need a lot of drop kick practice, both teams. And in the final game of the round, it was the Manly Seagulls were far too good for the Canterbury Banks Bulldogs, 32-6 after leading 14-0 at a half-time at Central Coast Stadium in Gosford. A couple of tries there to Trojovic, the winger fullback, and it was really only a try to the Bulldogs with 8 minutes to go, which saved them from total embarrassment. And let's have a look at the table after 3 rounds, and the only 2 unbeaten teams just happened to be the Eels and the Raiders on 6 points back to the Knights, courtesy of that draw, and the Panthers together on 5 points. Cowboys in 5th on 4 points. In fact, there's 3 teams on 4 points. Sea Eagles also. West Tigers on 4, and the Storm round out the 8, and sitting at the bottom of the table, unfortunately, are the Dragons, Bulldogs. Again this time. We'll see you all again tomorrow morning with some more league news.
Thank you very much, Stephen, for that update. Sorry, folks, we cut out a little bit there towards the end. Some technical issues there. Some sad news in the world of squash, as Susie Simcock has passed away. She was the World Squash Federation's first and so far only female president from 1996 to 2002. She was a big advocate for both squash and for women's sport as well. She spent 20 years on the involved in the World Squash Federation, one form or another. She was also the vice president of the Association of Recognized International Sports Federations, and made a big push to get squash into the Olympics. So our thoughts with her family at this time. Moving on to happier news, and the Silver Ferns have confirmed their Constellation Cup game. Well, have Constellation Cup games with Australia later this year. The quad series that was going to involve Australia, New Zealand, England, and South Africa has been cancelled. So unfortunately, but instead there will be a quad series between Australia and New Zealand. So 4 games there. Obviously, this will come down to our travel bubble between New Zealand and Australia. But look out for dates for those as things clarify in the coming months. Both sides are getting there. It'll happen after their domestic seasons of in New Zealand and Australia. Over in the UFC, and Gilbert Burns beats Tyrone Woodley and has said that he wants a title shot now. That was in the welterweight division, where and it was a unanimous points decision over there, and he earned one of the Performance of the Night bonuses for his win. The other Performance of the Night bonus where went to some of the other we should talk about the other co-main event, where Augusto Saki remained undefeated in the heavyweight division, beating Blagov Ivanov in a split decision over 3 rounds. This was the first fight back in Vegas, and was still behind closed doors as well. We also saw Billy Quarantillo beat Spike Carlisle in a points decision, and Roosevelt's Roberts scored a second round submission win over Brock Weaver. In the women's part, Mackenzie Dern was the other person who got the Performance of the Night bonus, beating Hannah Cyphers by leg lock in 1 round. You have now started the day the best way, up to date with the important sports news here on New Zealand Sports Radio. We'll be back at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning as well. So do join us then. Don't forget to share our channel or Facebook page and videos if you have enjoyed the show. And a reminder that you can listen to us on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Spotify, Acast, all those other podcatchers. Just search for New Zealand Sports Radio.